I found what appears to be a bug in the bass parameter. Let me show you what I mean about that. When you make a groove, I'm going to extract this one here. The bass parameter is supposed to determine kind of a range in which the notes are going to be moved. So if you have it on sixteenths, it's going to move them to the nearest sixteenth. If you have it on, for instance, quarters, it's going to try to move them to the nearest quarter note. So it's going to affect what notes are going to have the groove applied and which ones don't. And initially it seemed like the bass parameter was not working at all, but I found it actually does work, but just on the very first setting that you have it set to. Once you apply a groove to that setting, if you then try to change the bass value, it won't make a difference. It just keeps using the same setting you had the first time. So let's see what I'm talking about with that. The groove I have here just has the 1-2 and the 1-4. This is where the snares will be hitting, delayed to the right a little bit. So if I apply this to, say, a hi-hat groove, you have two choices. You could have just the hi-hat around this area being changed and the hi-hat around this area being changed. That would be if I had it set to sixteenths. If I have it set to quarters, then it's going to try to move all the notes around this area and this area towards this one, all the notes around this area and this area towards this one as well. Essentially, it has a wider scope in the notes that it's trying to pull towards these, depending on the resolution of the grid. So I've captured the groove over here, and let's apply it to the hi-hat. And I've got it on sixteenths. So again, only the 1 and 2 and the 1 and 4 should move. And you're going to see a little bit of change, I think, in one of the two notes around it, but not very much. Pretty much just this note and that note. And I'll do it a few times to make it a little more obvious. So you can see the 1-2 moved to the right, the 1-4 also moved to the right. If we zoom in, these ones actually haven't changed, although the length has changed. Again, it's kind of odd that the length is getting changed on these. But essentially these got locked down because it was looking at everything on a 16 grid, so it only looked at this note and this note. So let's undo that. Okay, so now I'm going to set this to quarter note. And now it should be looking at all the notes around this quarter note area and affecting them by the note that I had off of my template at 1-2 and 1-4. So you're going to see more notes being pulled in. You should see more notes being pulled in, I should say. And you notice no change. It's just doing the same thing it did before. So let's undo that. I'm going to recapture the groove. And this time I'm going to put on quarter note before I do anything. And now let's apply it. We're applying the same exact groove before, and in fact I even have the same setting 1/4 as I had here. So you'd think it would do the same thing, but it's not. Now it's actually going to work properly. Now notice all of the notes moved around that area. In fact, pretty much all the notes move except for the 1-3 and the 1-1, but anything near 1 and 2 is getting pulled around. So we have the same groove, we have the same settings, yet we get different results because only the first setting you have it on works and gets locked in as soon as you apply it one time. That's the way it's going to be set. So if I go back on this one, let me undo this, put it on sixteenths, commit. Again, it's still moving them all as if it was on quarter notes. If I go back to the first groove, which is on quarter notes but initially was on sixteenths, you can see that's working as it was on sixteenths. So as soon as you commit one of these, that's the setting it's going to use. Even if I go to a whole new part, I found that it still preserves that setting, so just be aware of that. Okay, so let's go and look at audio now. Now, the way they handled audio getting the clip is nice because they put the ability in to get the velocity out of it, which is good. So as I showed in the warping video, it already detects the transients when you bring up a clip. And when we right click this and make a groove, it's going to use those same transients to create a groove. Because of that, you need to go in and get these right, because otherwise it's going to be off, and that really defeats the whole purpose of getting a groove. It's not right on, it's not going to sound good. So remember, it's holding down shift so you can bring these transient markers over. So you're going to want to clean that up first before you go ahead and do this operation. Skip the rest, and again I can just right click it, extract groove. It's going to take a second, and we're going to see right here, if I drag it underneath, you can inspect, and you might want to do this to make sure, just look as if the MIDI is lining up with the transient. It's one of those things that you got to get it right. Like this one's off, so that can really just mess up the whole feel of the groove. A lot of the push and pull is going to depend on these things being just right. But as I said, if you do notice, we have velocity, which is really great, because velocity makes a big difference in the groove. So, and that's one thing you can do, is that you can just turn the timing down and just use the velocity on a part. So maybe you have the shuffle the way you want it, but you can use the velocity on a part to give it a little more life. So the way I could do that is just go to my groove quantize I just made, turn on the timing, turn over the velocity. I'll check one of these other parts. Select it and then commit it. And now we have velocity in here, but my timing is the same. So that's definitely very useful. Okay, so that's going to wrap up all the features of the new quantizing. Again, things to watch out for are the note lengths being affected. Again, if I apply this a few times, you can slowly see these parts again were being made smaller and these parts were made larger. So you have to watch out for that. Also watch out for some of the velocities and some of the presets. Might be in places that you don't expect them in some of the machine presets. And also watch out for the bass parameter. It's not really going to do anything unless you're using it in conjunction with the quantized strength, but on its own it just doesn't seem to have any function at this point. And hopefully that'll be cleared up at some point. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll have another one next week. Thanks for watching. Bye.